ain't going back. Not gonna buy into all that. Hey, hey, ain't gonna hide. Gonna let all the fears slide. Got Mother Nature is on my side. Got all of the loving growing inside.
Hello, everyone. Welcome again to the New Now. We're going to be on Odysee with this one. I am delighted to have a first-time guest on, Sherry Swiney from Keyhole Journeys. She has shared tons of amazing and interesting articles with us over the years, and I've been meaning to have a chat with her on mind parasites, her take on the non-human interference, let's say, that goes on inside of all of us, in my opinion, inside of our minds. It's what attracted me to her work in the first place. Sherry, hello.
Hello, Lorenzo. Thank you for inviting me.
For sure. So perhaps you can give our viewers, since this is your first time here, a bit of background, a bit about what you mean by mind parasites. I don't want to put any words in your mouth or in your mind, so to speak. And, we can run from there.
Yeah, mind parasites. That's a term that is used by the Native Americans, and they're called Wetiko. And before I knew about the Wetiko, this goes back way a lot of years ago, I just thought that these were entities that were on the dark side, because they invade the mind, and they actually intrude the mind with thoughts that are not your own thoughts. And they sound like your own thoughts, but they're not your own thoughts. And so a lot of people, I think all of us are affected by this on the planet. And I don't know where they came from. There's a lot of theories about that, and I don't know which one is right or if any of them are right. So these, but we'll call them mind parasites. But they are actually conscious, living beings, from my perspective, and they invade the mind. They insert negative thoughts, and they feed off of our negative energy. So they have to fool us into feeling negative. They have to fool us into feeling anxious or nervous or sad or insecure or any of those kinds of negative feelings. Now, the mainstream will say, well, these are normal feelings. Well, they're really not, in my view. I mean, we all have things that happen to us that make us sad, and that's fine. We all have things that happen that make us afraid. But that doesn't mean we have to be afraid all the time, or we have to be sad all the time. We can snap out of it. That part is normal. But when they linger on and on and on and on and on and on for, a long, long time, then that's a clue. That's not coming from you, because we are, we have these emotions and we experience them, but we're not made to linger in them forever. But these entities will trick you into this so that they can feed off of it. That's the bottom line.
Well, what is your work showing you in relation to, how they get in, where they stay, what they do? I know these are big questions. We could be talking for, days and weeks on the topic, but, let's take it apart and begin with what first brought your awareness to the, shall we say, duality of what's going on inside you, what's yours and what's not?
Well, I was plagued by these dark side entities from a young child until I was an adult. And that's because I had a very, very bad childhood growing up, and it was very abusive and torturous. So that made me vulnerable, that when someone is abused, either physically, mentally, or emotionally, that opens up the door for these entities to jump right in. Also, there are certain drugs that are a catalyst for bringing them in. My co-author for my book says that the methamphetamines are the door that opens up. He thinks that that's the worst drug that there is for opening up the door for these entities to come in. Alcohol will do it too. And so a lot of alcoholics are plagued with these things. And they're treated on the physical realm. They're not treated on the spiritual realm, so that makes it harder for them to get over their addiction. anyway, so I grew up with these things, and at the time I didn't know what they were. I knew they weren't me for some reason. I don't know how I knew, but I just knew they weren't me because they were, the thoughts that came into my mind weren't anything like what I would think, even as a child. So then when I became an adult, and old enough to do some research into what these were, because I went back and forth between they're not me, or there's something wrong with me, or something was wrong with my brain. I didn't know what it was, and I wanted to solve that problem. So I started researching, and I studied up on the brain to find out how it works. And that was real interesting, very interesting, as a matter of fact, but it didn't answer my questions. So then I started diving into self-help books, and, they didn't really approach the problem. And then, I don't know, I just went with, okay, these are not me, and I don't know what they are, but they seem to be alive. They seem to be conscious. They seem to be able to read my mind. They can dive into my memory banks and pull up things that I had long forgotten about, and then stomp all over with them, and do the reruns. And they will even they'll even take something good that you did in the past and somehow turn it around to make it seem like it was a bad thing. And people get tricked by this. It's an old memory that, it's like, oh, wait a minute, that was a good thing I did. No, this, but then there's this side thing, they'll twist it around and make it look ugly. So I just started with the premise that I need to figure out what to do about these things, how to get rid of these things. And then as I was searching, universe, it has a way of answering the desires that we have. So because I wanted to know so much what these were, I worked at an engineering company for a long time. And then my boss came to me one day and he said, how would you like to learn computer programming? Because we have a new project that requires a computer programmer and we don't have one. So I said, oh, sure, that sounds great. So they sent me to school and I learned computer programming. And what I learned also on the side was that from my studies of the brain, that our brain can be programmed, MK Ultra and all that stuff. Our brain can be programmed, but computer programming is like writing a code, and the program does exactly what you tell it to do. And it clicked with me that, okay, so the brain is sort of like a computer. What if I could write a code to change the way that I'm thinking? Because, it just seemed like I should be able to change this on my own. I didn't dare go to a psychiatrist or a psychologist because I thought if I told them what was going on with me, they would just throw me in the insane asylum and, pump me up with a bunch of drugs and I wouldn't be me again anymore. So I never told anybody about this stuff for a long, long time. So it turned out that the idea of reprogramming my brain was way too complicated in the midst of an attack. So I needed to find something that was really, really super easy. And then in my studies of the self-help books, I realized that, okay, everything I had learned in life, everything I had been taught was basically a lie. Because I wasn't who I was told I was. I wasn't, this bad person that I had grown up to think that I was. So then I thought, okay, so what if I just call out these thoughts and, say that they're a lie? That's a lie. So I developed this program and I call it the That's a Lie program. And now that program, and it worked. My theory was that if I could reprogram my own brain so that I was using this new program all the time, then the old program would atrophy and it wouldn't be able to work. And the theory was correct. That worked. It really worked well. And so I started telling people about this, and And then I met Jerry Marzinski, the co-author of our book, and told him about it. He used it on, he worked with schizophrenics in the prisons and in the hospitals. So he tried it on the schizophrenic patients and it worked on them too.
What did he do? What was the method that he, how did he use it on the schizophrenic patients?
Yeah, he told them that first he had to make them understand that these voices that they were hearing were not their voices. That was not who they were. Once they understood that, then he started working with them to say, okay, everything they're telling you is a lie. So you need to call it out as a lie. You need to not have any fear of them. Mm. So that's the big key, is no fear, and they're lying to you. So anyway, what's happened since then, and this is many years back, is, I have helped a lot of people, and Jerry has helped a lot of people. And Jerry deals with the schizophrenics, and I deal with everybody else. The regular people that haven't gone off the edge with the seriousness of schizophrenia. So, in fact, just today, I got a message on my Facebook messaging from a lady who had followed the instructions in the That's a Lie program. Mm-hmm. It's free to everybody. We don't charge anything for that. And so you can find that on my website.
Okay, I'll definitely leave a link below. Yeah,
and so you can also find it on Jerry's website too. I'll give you that link later on.
Okay.
Anyway, so yeah, she wrote to me and she told me her whole story and how she had been working with the That's a Lie program. And, she was working with this for herself and for her son, who was actually diagnosed as schizophrenic. Mm. He had been hospitalized. He had been very violent. And so it took him about a year to grasp the whole idea and then to start using it diligently, because it has to be a consistent thing. This is not an overnight fix, because these guys are very persistent. Even when you push them away, they'll come back and test the waters when you least expect it. So you have to stay aware. You don't have to be looking around for them, but you have to stay aware of your own mind, so that when a thought comes in that just isn't something you would think, then you know that that's what's going on, and you can say, well, that's a lie. I see you. I recognize you. That's a lie. I take it a step further after I do that, because I learned this later on. And I say, that's a lie. I send you love. And then they're gone. They're just absolutely gone. They don't like the energy of love. They don't like the energy of positive feelings. And love, of course, is the most powerful feeling. So we've helped a lot of people.